Wow, it's been such a long time since we've been live.
Yeah, and we are coming back from Berlin, and this is related to the topic today for all of those of you who are sensitive or empaths or feel so much and live in the city. We've been experiencing this for a few months, few weeks, few months even now, and we came with few strategy that will helped us so much, and we are sharing it with you because we believe it will help you so much in the challenge of living in a city and crowded space.
Yeah, so, if you ever feel low, if you feel depressed, and you have this, many people that we know seem to have this chronic sense of, you know, maybe feeling lonely, feeling depressed, lack of motivation, having to kind of fight all the time
Hmm.
for feeling good. And this isn't a natural state of being. And while some of that might actually come from our trauma, the environment plays a huge role in that for
Hmm.
why we might be feeling that way. It is not all ours. And that's the
Yeah.
good news. If you're feeling low, out of energy, depressed, it's not all yours. You can shift that by shifting things in your environment and by becoming aware of how other things in your life might be negatively impacting your vibration.
Well said. And by that, so we are a few seconds in the live stream. Let us know if you can hear us well. And we would love to know and have more like a conversation with you guys. So let us know if you're watching us from a city or you're living in a more like a countryside place and where in the world you're watching us. We'd love to always chat with you, get to know you a little bit more. This is the advantage of the live stream and why we like to do it. So also, if you like to support us, give us a like and share this video. That will help more people from our subscribers and from your community to see it. And we are always looking forward to being in touch with more people. So yeah, we're looking forward to hear from you. And we will answer the comments, all of them, whether in the stream or afterwards. So don't hesitate to leave us comment. It won't go unseen.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
So, in your environment impacts you because we are interconnected to everything. And, we might sometimes feel like we're isolated, that we need to figure out our own thing and everything is a reflection of us. But there's something distorted about that view. Like we can choose what is in our environment and what we are allowed to influence us, what we choose
Mhm.
to have in our days, where we put our focus, because all of it is going to impact our vibration. And this is why living in a city where there's so much going on, there's so much input, it is particularly important to take conscious charge of your vibration.
Yeah, and we're coming with this video is more like our experience and what we felt here in Berlin. And Berlin, consider one of those cities that has the most green comparing to size-wise. So we still suffered from this energy, and we want to share with you, like from personal experience, what actually helped us the most. So
Mm.
if you have also experience with coping with the energy in the city, please leave it in the comment below. It will help also our community and people like you.
Hi, Dan. In New Jersey. Wow, you are in a pretty busy place. Even if you're not directly in New York or in the city, I imagine there's a lot going on
Mhm.
energetically. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So let's start with how and why the city environment is so, impactful for us, why it has such a power to lower our vibration.
Mhm. Yeah, I start with the first one, which is if you're living in a flat, you're surrounded with many neighbors, and some of them they might be not the happiest neighbors, or they might be those neighbors who are suffering so much in their personal life, and this energy of suffering, of depression, of whatever they're going through, it will impact you, whether they feel it or not. As a sensitive person, you will feel it for sure, and this is something we experience. You will feel your neighbors.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you might, for example, have a sense of isolation. And this is very interesting because before coming to Berlin, I was in my parents' home in Finland, and I had the most chill time. It's just a house, it's not there's not many
It's really
neighbors in that
beautiful.
way. I felt so chilled, and I wasn't actually connecting a lot with other people, but it didn't bother me. I was connecting to nature, meditating a lot. Then I came to Berlin, where I actually have more physical connection. But there was this constant sense of isolation. And I'm just like, why do I feel this? It's like this pain somewhere. And I realized that there is a lot of people here who feel isolated. So it is basically that in the energy field.
And big cities are known to be isolating. Like people in big city, many of them feel isolated. So yeah.
Yeah, so if you be aware that if you live in a flat, you are being impacted by sometimes tens of people who live in the same building. And in the old times, we would have our own hut, have our family close by, and some people that we know living in the proximity. So there would be much more sort of, in a way, control over what energy is coming to our field. So that's a huge one. Number one, everywhere you go, such as the public transport or supermarkets. Supermarkets especially have the energy of consumerism, of like trying to manipulate you to buy, of people feeling irritated, having to spend money. There is all kinds of energies happening in the supermarket. So
very overwhelming,
when you enter into those spaces, you need to be very conscious of your own energy. Do not get pulled into that.
Yeah, and when we talk about supermarket, even those conscious supermarket like bio and all this organic scene, and they still have this energy, maybe to lesser degree, but they're still there, and you could feel it if you're a sensitive person. And yeah, what I do actually, I'm gonna share in the second part actually what coping mechanism or like what strategy that we use. So stay to the end, and yeah, if you haven't clicked like us so we can reach more people. This is how the algorithm works. So when you like the video, it show it to more of our subscribers. And
yeah, how many of you have ever gone to a supermarket and just like end up buying stuff that you're later like, why did I buy this bag of chips?
Yeah.
Or this vegan cheese that is super expensive, like just because it's that you get sucked into that vortex.
Yeah, and they always use these techniques like save money, discount, save money. So you're actually spending more money on this discount, not saving.
Yeah. And this leads us to the next point, which is distractions. In the city, like the reason why many people like to be in the cities is because there's this feeling of there's so much going on, and like there's always something to distract yourself with. So it's this constant, like there's the background sense of isolation, and then we are hooked on to buying, to going to events, to doing something
with the promise that this will give you the missing feeling, the missing experience. So many people get hooked on to do like one event after another. Even in the spiritual scene, like we're so surprised that some people told us that they come to our cacao ceremony, but before that they have done like 3 events, which is a lot.
Or just one the same day.
Yeah,
3.
for our standards, we do like 1 event a day, and we are very content. And sometimes nothing, just relaxing and our practice. And yeah,
and these distractions, even though we may enjoy it, it's this like seeing a lot of people going to eat, going to the cinema, going blah blah blah. It has the power to pull us off our path. Actually, it's like there's so many things going on, and we saying yes to that are actually not in the highest alignment. So it is such an art form to be able to discern and to say no to things, to saying no to 90% of the things in the city, actually, to actually stay in your path.
Say even more. Like
probably more. Yeah, so it's this kind of temptations that constantly lure us into things that are not in the highest alignment.
I have a new comment. Ju, when she live in the countryside, or you live in the countryside, and when you go to the city, you feel hyper and depleted.
Yeah, you can feel the difference because you don't live in the city. That's the thing, we get used to it. And then we think what we feel is normal, or it's because of us, that I am somehow, there's something wrong with me that I feel that way, not realizing that the environment isn't healthy. It's like if you're in an abusive relationship and you're trying to heal within that relationship, it's not just that you do your inner work. You need to eventually leave the relationship so you can heal. So that's what we're talking about here. So Dan was saying he worked in a supermarket for 30 years. Wow. Wow.
That's a tough job.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
We are looking forward to hear from you what following your heart would feel like or do like afterwards.
Ravel is saying that supermarkets should be called murder markets. Yeah, our vegan friend there.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one.
Yeah, the obvious one, which is disconnection from nature. And this is something that everybody probably tells you all the time, spend time in nature. But it's just important. It is true. You know, the disconnection, we are nature. If we are not connected to trees and plants and fresh air and, you know, have our feet on the soil, sometimes we get disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah. And we tend to lose this natural rhythm when we are in this artificial cubes. So I'm telling myself also to go more to nature. So maybe next live stream we do it from there.
Yeah, totally. And it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna take a 10-minute run through the park, you know, it's more about really, even if it's for 30 seconds, touch a tree, breathe it in, feel the vibration, you know, dropping into that field of, it's a totally different vibration. And you can always find a little green corner in the city or a tree that you can connect to.
And more tips in the second part.
Yes. All right. Radiation. 5G. This is more your topic.
Even like 2G was like a lot. Like I don't know how many. I know that there is like this scientific argument about it, and there is many hidden and suppressed studies about it happening, going on. But just like try it for yourself. Have your phone next to your head in a phone call for around 10 minutes and see how much headache you would have. You don't need study for that. Your body is just giving you the impulse. So imagine yourself being showered with so many energy, so many radiation, just like too much.
Yeah, so it's like this constant stimulation that we're not actually wired to handle. And we don't have the, you know, patience to go slowly enough to handle all the incoming input. And, you know, just, you know, it's overwhelming for our system. It's the amount of people around, it's the noise, the people that we don't know. That's another thing. A lot of strangers all the time. We're not anymore in a community where we know everybody.
There is a study I read recently that the human being can relate to at max 100 people, and over that it will be very overwhelming for our system. So the most relaxing state of mind, the state of heart, where you can know the people around you, so it's not so overwhelming. And this is many communities like Tamera, for example, they try to keep it around 100 people, the whole community, and not overgrow so much than that.
Yeah, because so it's quite normal for a human being to, if you're constantly around strangers who might have less than healthy energy fields, that you feel stressed. And the noise and the cars and everything and the movies, stuff that you watch online, that means that we're constantly in a fight or flight mode. The fight being, we go into this strong protective mode where nothing comes in and we're like just going through, like, you know, like in this tough mode.
Yeah, you could see it if you're in city and you go to underground. You could see like how people are very protective, and many of them, they try just to look at their phone and not
look tough.
Yeah.
Or you are in a flight mode, which means you might be hiding inside of your apartment, avoiding people altogether, feeling anxious all the time. Or you are in the freeze, which means you're just kind of dissociated, going about your routine, but not really present, not really alive, just kind of numbing yourself maybe with food and then just
TV, screen time, drugs, maybe antidepressant. Yeah, and the downside of those three coping mechanisms is that you're not in alignment. That will be more and more difficult for you to step into your alignment and why you came here, why you are here. And cope with different things like drugs or alcohol or like depression medication, like all these things that you use it to make yourself feel alive or make yourself feel normal. it's not normal because you're not living in a normal society, not living in a normal state. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So there is a final point here, and this goes a little bit more on the esoteric side. And this is thought forms. I noticed something very interesting when I came to Berlin, that I started having thoughts like, I'm not doing enough. I should be doing something. And I did not have this when I was in Finland or Mexico.
And that has to do with the industrial way of thinking. You know, Germany is a very industrial country. So they have this, they have this mindset where you have to do something, otherwise you're like a burden on society. So this thought form is super strong in Germany, and you could feel it like when you land there, it's just like cover everything.
So if you have any sense of low self-worth, or where you felt this way, maybe in your childhood, that this is in your family, you might get hooked into it. And I did almost get hooked into it. At least in the first few days it was there, but I could notice it, because there has been enough healing work where I've gone out of that, so I can be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is not me. This is not my thought. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live from a place of like, I have to like produce and do all the time, not from that place. So, you know, and there's a lot of very strong thought forms, and they are a bit different depending on where you're at. And if you're not fully conscious of your thoughts and what is, you know, what you are feeling and thinking, they can completely hook onto you and, you know, take over.
And just before we go to the solution, if you have any other thought why living in the city is difficult for you from your own experience, please share it with us in the comment. It'd be nice to see and learn from your experience as well, and also share it with the community. And now we move to the solutions.
Yeah. Of course, the obvious solution would be like, move out of the city.
What the hell are you doing here?
But we actually want to help people who want to be in the city, because we also need high vibrational beings, conscious beings in the city, changing the vibration from inside out. But we can only do that service
if we take care of ourselves.
Yes, if we ourselves are able to maintain a high vibration and clarity. Right.
So how many strategies we have? We have 8 strategies.
Yeah.
Mia is so good at writing notes, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
A quick reading a comment. Come back to Mexico. We might actually.
Yeah, might be January, our trip back. Maybe earlier, depending on how much inner work or like outer work we need to do here in Germany and in Europe.
The Mystic Greek, how do you guys feel about cannabis? Amazing medicinal plant, and should be treated with great respect.
In ceremonial way only. We have a video about ayahuasca, and what we said about ayahuasca apply pretty much to cannabis, with lesser degree though. So if you treat it as a plant medicine and just like use it to, like there's a different mentality between using it and taking it in for healing purposes. So just like take this in and feel what applies to you. Okay, more comments?
All right. So the number one, because here, you know, when we go to these solutions, you might say that's obvious. So that's why the number one thing is commitment here, is to actually commit internally to say, I'm going to take charge of my vibration and I'm going to commit to doing these things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make like a routine for myself that I'm committed to following.
Yeah.
And not give in to the impulses. Basically
building a foundation for your day, for your life, like what makes you, you. Are you a person who really takes care of themselves? So yeah, you can start from there, like building routine around going to nature, connecting with nature, like what you mentioned before.
Yeah, so a big part of this strategy is to how to reduce stimulation and recover like a healthy sense of in your nervous system, how to reduce the stress in your nervous system, so that you can actually discern and you can notice what is happening inside of you and what is good for you and what isn't good for you. So number one is the obvious one, which is nature. Once again, it is essential to connect every day if you can, in any small way,
Yeah.
to the natural environment, which is not human made.
Mhm. Another tip is to bring nature to your home. So if you live in a place permanently, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing your plants and seed growing. So I really encourage you to plant seeds, whether it's in your balcony or even indoor in your kitchen. You can grow all your herbs. We have amazing experience healing with the plants and seeing how they grow. So this is highly recommended. It will give you so much healing just to see this natural process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So, number one, connect to nature, even if that means when you're coming home from work, maybe you are walking and there's a big, beautiful tree, just go and put your hand on the tree and just breathe and tune in for a moment. That has the power to calm your nervous system so much.
Yeah.
Number two.
Just before you move, walk bare feet. That also helps a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number two. Well, that was actually number two because commitment was number one. So number three, reduce stimulation from electronics and other distractions as much as you can. So, for example, take time off from social media, from watching Netflix, and this stimulation could also be being in a very busy areas. You know, if you're sometimes going shopping on the shopping street, this is extremely stimulating.
Especially if when like in places like Berlin or the USA, there's so much advertisement around you that you just like wherever your eyes goes, there's something to grab your attention. And this is very draining, very draining, more than you think.
Yeah, because actually what it's trying to do is to pull your energy.
Yeah.
The advertisement wants your energy, first your attention, and then your money.
Yeah.
And
it's the people are studying 4 or 5 years in university to how grab attention for advertisement. So this is, they study the psychology of the brain. They study how human react to certain things, what note they play to grab your attention. So really be careful. I myself, when I go, for example, outside, I intentionally focus on looking at trees. So whenever I go, I intentionally grab my attention and focus on trees and grass and natural plants, and help me so much.
Right. Number four, learn to be present with your body. Because this is where our attention constantly goes to the outside, and the body actually feels stress. And we might have a lot of emotions that we're not even aware of because of the stimulation. So presence with the body can be practiced anywhere, anytime. You know, almost anywhere, anytime. You don't necessarily need to set an hour aside for that in the morning, which would be great.
Yeah.
But you can also just, while you're washing the dishes, you can just remember to come back to the body. And that just looks like taking a breath, noticing what is happening in your arms, your legs, relaxing intentionally, and then coming to your heart space and noticing what you're feeling. So taking the time, presence with the body means also presence with emotions. So this is when you don't allow the things to accumulate that makes you feel overwhelmed. You process the emotions that might arise during the day. So there might be an emotion from work when somebody was rude to you. You need to take time every day to process those things because they don't go away if you ignore them.
Healthy food. Well, how obvious one, but many of us escape, or you know, you go to supermarket and like, oh, this like vegan desserts I really like to try, and then it's full of sugar and all this preservative and stuff, and then I'm feeling bad after eating it. So yeah, take care of your food. Go plant-based diet as much as possible. We love eating raw vegan. We are not fully raw vegan anymore, but big part of our day is like that. Like we have a big smoothie full of berries and fresh, vibrant food that fill us with a lot of positive energy, and yeah, that set the foundation for our day, starting from a healthy breakfast.
Right, and it's like the food is physical vibration. It's like what you literally becomes your body. It is so obvious. I'm sure you all know it. When you eat a crappy meal, like just something unhealthy, you feel not only physically bad, but you feel guilty because you know you didn't do what was in your own highest alignment.
Yeah. And also remember not to feel guilty. Like if it happened, okay, it happened next time,
Yeah.
take the healthier option.
Yeah, but the guilt also is there to sometimes to point to that. It's trying to tell us like we went against ourselves. So then the key is then to learn from that and make a better choice. Someone, Dan is saying he appreciates cultural benefits like museums and theater. Yeah, there's a lot of.
And also culture
Yeah.
mix, because like we are in a place in Berlin. I love how we meet people from all over the world. Like we recently been in touch from people from literally almost all countries. So it's a huge benefit.
Ravel, you're saying that pineapple plant and amaryllis reside here. Where are you? I thought you're in Norway. Huh. All right. The mystic is asking if we have advice how to be patient with kids, 6 and 3-year-old, stressed, angry, and impatient.
Let's see if this question after we finish the point.
Okay, we will come back to you.
And if you have also any other question, write it, and afterwards we're gonna answer all the questions that are in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, but this relates to the food topic. Marcel Tov is asking if we are still raw vegan because you live in Berlin. So we are eating very high raw, but not fully raw. And
when we don't eat raw, we eat mostly plant-based, like very healthy. We steam vegetables.
Only plant-based. We don't eat animal products.
Yeah. We eat. Sometimes we put some oil. That's a new for us, but this is something we use very rarely and a very low amount. And what else? But pretty much we still high percentage raw vegan, at least until 4. I think 3, 4 is our first meal that has cooked food in it.
Yeah. And there are, I'm not quite sure actually what the reason for this is exactly, but for me, it does sometimes help me to feel that I harmonize with my environment, something like that. It almost feels like it is grounding definitely to eat root vegetables, especially.
Yeah.
I don't feel good if I eat a lot of grains, so we don't really do grains. Mostly the cooked things would be like potatoes, other root vegetables.
Hummus has grain.
Hummus, I can't eat hummus. I get so bloated from it. It just doesn't work in my,
I just
my
can't
digestion.
keep it. It's such a
well, you're from Syria, so
it's such a
that's
love
your
story.
excuse. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the answer. Discernment about many things.
Starting from people around you. How is your relationship to people around you? Are they draining you? Are they like constantly fighting conflict and there's no way to resolve it with them? Are you with people who are really supportive, loving towards you? I think this is the biggest impact actually. And there is a big facade or like a big promise that the city can give you. And we fought also this one when we came this time to Berlin because we really wanted to see our friends and connect with them more often. And what happened actually, we end up seeing them so rarely and spending such a little quality time with them because their life is so busy here in the city. Like we come from Mexico we don't have so much responsibility here in the city, but our friends have so much that we couldn't really have quality time with them. And that's really sad. So yeah, just like if you're living in the city, look what nourish you. Maybe if relationship nourish you, try to prioritize your relationship aspect and the quality time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just like other people have the power to, uplift us or to bring us down. Also with habits, like quite often when we are around people who either drink alcohol or they, eat unhealthy food, we kind of gravitate towards that as well. So be really mindful of what kind of impact, influence you surround yourself with. We're not saying cut connection from those people, but maybe it's about finding a balance where if you feel like you have that a bit negative influence, that you can nourish yourself again, come back to your center in between.
And always search for new connections, people on the same page with your values and mission and hobbies that you like.
Yeah, and this extends to everything really, because there's so much that the city offers, and there is this fear of missing out to really practice saying no to 90% of the things, so you can have space for the thing to arise that is your thing, that really benefits and serves you and guides you on your path.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
there more point in this?
Yeah, so related to the point about people, this is actually your specialty more than mine.
So this is one thing why when I came to Germany from Switzerland and before that from Syria, I was so lonely because I missed this deep bonding connection that I had with my old friends, and it was actually very depressing. I might share a video about like my depression story and how I moved from thinking of ending my life to where I am now. But one of the most thing that helped me the most is community and connection. So if you don't have this, and I'm sure 99.9% of population don't have this strong bonding connection with your community, I urge you to start it. So that could be going to events that you really like. Like for example, me and Mia, we met. We don't want to spoil our love story. We'll share it at some point later with you. But we met at activism, something that we believed in. So we met there. I started in Berlin when I came here. I started doing events and bringing people in a similar basis, like doing healing work and doing connection games and all this thing. And that was the start of a community. So what you can do also, you can go to communities and events that's similar to your interest. If you don't have any, start your own. There is many platform that can host that. There's like the Freedom Cell movement. You can check the Freedom Cell website and post your event there and invite for meetup. And there's community gardens. You can go there if you like gardening, if you like connecting with nature, and go to this community and offer a hand. Many people need help actually. So that's a good way to start.
Yes.
I can keep going for hours, but yeah.
Seriously, I can't describe the changing the vibration when you cuddle and touch and just laugh with somebody. It's like it can just counteract this whole energy of isolation and depression. Like suddenly there your hearts are connected. It is such a medicine. So simple.
And we saw like we've been doing Cacao ceremonies. By the way, if you're in Berlin, come join us.
Yes.
We're having two more, at least one more, maybe two for this month, and we have a retreat coming next. So if you're in Berlin, come join us. We'd love to see you in person.
In 3 days.
3 days.
Yes.
Yeah, and we see how people come with like a lot of charge from the city, and then afterwards just this like peace and love and relaxation. Is like so amazing to see the impact.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we love it, and we love to like initiate this transformation. We invite you like learn how to do cacao ceremony and offer it for your communities. They would love it.
We humans like to pretend that we can be islands unto ourselves, but we are a social species. So yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to answer the questions. There was a question about how to deal with impatience with children when getting stressed and angry and impatient easily.
That's a city byproduct, I guess.
And what I'm feeling intuitively is that, first of all, there's a reason why you feel this way. It is valid. You need to be allowed to feel those feelings. I think you need space to, drop underneath the stress and the anger and see what is there. Anger is a cover emotion. It's a protective emotion. So usually underneath it, there is some kind of pain, vulnerability.
We have a video about anger. Check it out on our channel.
Yeah. So here, I think you need space to drop underneath the stress and anger and just cry. Have a really good cry for yourself. And maybe you are overwhelmed. And so you can just cry out that overwhelm and that, or maybe there's a lack of support in your life. That's what I hear that you're stressed and impatient, it sounds to me like maybe you don't have enough resources, to provide for your children and nourish yourself as well. Maybe you need more nourishment from other people. So be really gentle on yourself with this. It's not ideal environment to raise children in a city, in a 2-people household, sometimes 1-person household.
It's too much, especially for single parent. Like, oh my god! And this is why we did an interview with one friend who gave a birth and grew up her child in an intentional community. It was actually our last video, so check it out, and you will be inspired by what she shared and how her life changed for the positive. Actually, having this experience.
Yeah. So really, like, it is you're not a bad parent for feeling stressed or impatient. It is great that you're aware of it, but it sounds to me like maybe you need to have yourself space to process your emotions and to feel nourished and feel supported. Find other people who can be with you on this journey.
Yeah. Is there any other points? Did you say the 8?
Yeah, no, we covered them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So time for answering questions
Yes.
now.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't clear. So Joe is asking, how do you feel about microdosing psilocybin for depression?
We heard from some friends that helped them a lot, and there was tons of study already about it, that it's actually very helpful. We have never done it ourselves. Fortunately, we're not depressed, so we didn't really have an actual first-person experience, but we heard it helps. So if you want to do it, it's very important to set an intention for what you want help for, what you want the intelligence of the mushroom to help you with. And we have 2 videos about this, so you need to check them out. One about like how to deal with the mushroom, what's like a right setting for it, and one about ayahuasca and plant medicine. So before you take any substance, any plant medicine, please watch those 2.
And here I would be also discerning about how it's done, in the sense that with depression I would always look into what is behind it, because we don't just get depressed for no reason.
Exactly.
So to not use the mushroom to just feel better. So for example, as a coping mechanism to feel better, and then you kind of get addicted to it because that's the only way you feel better. But to use it in a way of asking the mushroom to help you to heal, asking you to
show you
process the
maybe
things.
your blind spots also.
Yeah, processing the things that are creating that depression. What is it that you need to access?
Yeah.
So you are actively working with the medicine, not using it as another pill, know.
Well said. And by that, if you are also needing support in your healing journey, we both offer session in trauma healing, emotional support, relationship support, solving conflicts. So if you have any situation that's difficult to deal with it on your own, please reach out for help, whether from us or somebody else. And we love to help people in this path. So if you resonate with our energy, you're very welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. Joe is saying, I can't wait until I'm on a pure sunlight diet. Yeah, when I live in the warm, it's so easy to eat raw.
Yeah.
And another point just came to me. I just said this really quickly, that I realized that it helps me to adjust to the place I'm in when I eat the local foods. And that's actually a big reason why I've been eating a lot of potatoes and root vegetables.
Deutsche Kartoffeln.
Because they grow here.
Yeah.
Not just eating like something like mangoes that come from Mexico or something.
It felt so true, like when we were in Mango, when we were in Mango. When in Mexico, we had so much deliciousness with mango. It was like so amazing. And when we came here, we tried mango several times and didn't feel fulfilling for 2 reasons. First, it's not as delicious as Mexico, fact. And the second one, it's not like from the land. But what felt really good was potato, pumpkin, what else? Even cucumber from here felt really good.
Yeah, so we're trying to eat like locally grown food, and sometimes that means eating some more cooked foods. And at the moment, that's what feels.
And that also very good for the environment. So your food is not shipped from the other part of the world. Okay, so if there is more questions, please write them in the comment. We will answer them. Yeah. And we love doing this. We love this interaction with you guys. We could keep going for hours, so we just have to at some point set like like an ending. Yeah, and we will try our best to answer all we're gonna read them all and try our best to answer as much as possible. And we would love to see you in person. So if you're in Germany, in Europe even, we will have a retreat coming soon. We'd love to see you there, where we really experience what human connection is. If you're in Berlin or around Berlin, we are doing a cacao ceremony. We'd love to see you, and keep shining, and remember that you are here, wherever you are, city or countryside, you are here for a reason, and always connect to this light inside you and let the light shine. Okay. Yes, you always have connection to the purest form of light right inside of you. You just have to slow down and notice. Yes. Okay. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of our live stream. Ciao.
Bye bye.